Hey there, everybody, wherever you may be. I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things. Welcome. Today, I have one game, two computers. Today, I'm going to be looking at one game on two different systems. Two ports of this game. One will be on the Color Computer 3 that I have here. This game actually works on the Color Computer 1, 2, or 3. I am also going to be looking at the game on my Atari 800. I'm going to be looking at which game plays better, which game looks better, which game sounds better. And then I'll make my final decision on which one I like the best. But before we jump into the gameplay on this, let's learn a little bit about what game it is and where it came from. Arex is a game originally released for the TRS80 Model 1 and 3, written by William Muck-Kuhn-Yet and published by Adventure International. You may recognize Adventure International because it was a video game publishing company started by Scott and Alexis Adams in 1979. And was probably best known for the cross-platform text adventure games that Scott Adams released. I unfortunately could not find any footage of the original game being played, but I did find these screenshots here. After its release on the Model 1 and 3, the game was ported to a number of systems. The two I'm looking at are the Color Computer version and the Atari 400-800 version. Other versions were ported to the Apple II, which I could not locate a copy of, the PC, which I could also not locate a copy of, and the Commodore 64, which I did find but could only boot the title screen. No matter what buttons or combinations of buttons I pressed on the computer, or both controllers, I could not get it to start. The C64 version did have exactly the same title screen as the Atari 400-800 version, so I assume the gameplay would be very similar. Now, it's time to look at the game and how it's played. And here we have Arex, however you pronounce it, from 1983, and this is on the Color Computer. Now, this will run on a Color Computer 1, a Color Computer 2, or 3, and it only requires 16K of memory. So, this game is a lot like the game Kicks, where you have to fill in a certain percentage of the screen to complete a level. But, unlike that game, you don't fill in blocks as you cross the screen. Instead, it's like Snake, you leave a trail behind you, and that's how you fill in the screen. Now, you cannot cross your own trail, so there's equally parts strategy and action. The first level obviously doesn't have anything else, but it's a completely blank screen, so it's a little bit easier. And also, if you stand still too long, I'll show you, your trail behind you starts exploding, and if that catches up to you, you die. You're the white cross on the screen, obviously. The orange blocks are your trail that you're leaving. The blue dots are actually things that you can run over if you want. And there's two types of ships. There are two types, they'll turn into those white mistly things. There's two types of them. There's one that will move only diagonally and one that will move horizontally or vertically. So there's a lot of strategy involved in this game. It's quite an addictive little game. Anyways, as you can see, it's got nice big chunky graphics. And here is Arex on the Atari 800. So, as you can see, a much flashier home screen here, opening screen. And you've actually got a couple of choices, Area 1 or Dungeon 1. Or Arena 1, sorry. So we'll try Arena 1 first, which is basically the same as Level 1 on the Color Computer version. So you've got the just completely empty arena, and rather than leaving boxes behind, you actually have arrows that show your direction of movement. Other than that, gameplay is exactly the same. See if I can do it this time. As we approach the middle. Yeah, you can't beat this level because you get to the end and you still haven't cleared the thing. You have to clear 100% of the screen, which is impossible because you can't pass over your own dots. So yeah, you can't beat this level, so that's just weird. You just have to sit here and wait to die. Okay, so that's the arena. Alright, so we have taken a look at the arena. Let's take a look at the dungeon. Now, the dungeon is basically level 2 of the Color Computer version. So let's see how we do on this. You do get, I think, 4 men in this one, so... And this one you can actually pass because it's basically just go as far, get a portion of the screen filled. But it's very difficult because, yeah, see, like I'm starting with... Yeah, the bad guys show up a lot more often in this game than... Now let's look at these games side by side. As you can see, the Atari version does have a lot better looking graphics. However, the chunky, simpler graphics of the CoCo not only is truer to the original, but I think more fitting to the style of the game. The CoCo version does start fairly hard and ramps up from there, making it a little frustrating but still playable. The Atari version has 2 modes. First, the completely useless arena mode. I mean, why put a mode in that is unwinnable? The dungeon level is the equivalent of level 2 on the CoCo, except that the bad guys spawn a lot quicker, making this a much harder version off the start. The CoCo has very little music but decent sound effects, whereas the Atari version has good music throughout and good sound effects. Neither system has music, or the lack of music, that adds or takes away from the gameplay, but both have sound effects that add to it. So, in conclusion, I would say that the chunkier graphics of the CoCo fit more with the feel of the game. On the Atari, the better graphics work against it. It's a very simple game. The flashier graphics make you expect more from it. That, coupled with the faster spawning enemies, had me giving up on the Atari version a lot quicker than the CoCo version. My choice on this one is the CoCo version. But then again, I may be just a little bit biased. I would be interested to know if anyone has tried the other versions of this game. How were they? How do they compare to these two? Well, I hope you enjoyed this look at Arex on the Color Computer and the Atari 400-800. If you like this video, don't forget to check out my other videos. Also, a like, subscribe, and comment are all things that help my channel out and would be greatly appreciated. So, until next time, don't forget to play with something retro.